All right. Hey, welcome back. As you're watching this, we're coming back from break. Hopefully you had a good one. Hopefully it was nice and relaxing there. And we're coming back into our last unit of the class. All right. So we're going to kind of, um, I shouldn't say ease back, but we're going to, we have our final coming up. We only have about 13, 14 classes left. And so we are going to be transitioning towards the end of the class. This is a great time for some of that late stuff. Actually, most of it's probably closed up and should have been done by now. But it's a great time to make sure you're staying up to date on all of the current things that are going on as we're going to be heading towards the end of the class. Our last unit here is animal population dynamics. All right. And so we've been talking a ton about wildlife. We've been talking about all kinds of different vertebrates that we might find. Our last unit, we're going to talk about how those vertebrates interact with each other. Okay. So today, just some vocab today as we're moving along, and it's vocab that you probably have seen before. But ecology is the study of interactions of organisms with other organisms and with the physical environment. Okay, so that's kind of what we've been looking at this whole time to an extent. Today or not today, this last unit, we're just going to zoom out. We're going to see the big picture as that comes. So some terms to define here. First of all, we're talking about populations. So what is a population? A population are members of the same species living in the same area. So we always think about like populations of, the Twin Cities, populations of the United States of America, populations of humans on Earth. However, there's also a elephant population on Earth. There's a oak tree population in Minnesota. There's any grouping of the same species that lived in a defined area is a population. So not just humans there. One step above that, okay, so here's populations. One step above that would be our communities. Now, as English speakers, we have community has its own word meaning to us, but in the scientific world, community are all the different populations that are living in the same area. Okay, so here we look at a coral reef community. Those coral, the phytoplankton, the fish, they're all living in that same area there and interacting. So if we look at a population or community here, we look at, that's 4 zebras. So that's just a population of zebras, not a community of zebras. Humans get that wrong. We have the community center in town or whatever. Just people use that. That's just, a population uses those kind of things. And then the step up from community would be ecosystem. So take into consideration all those populations living together and then include those non-living factors. All right. So temperature, precipitation, soil quality, amount of water, the amount of sunlight, those kind of things determine an ecosystem. So here's a look at the African Serengeti with grasses and lakes and wild animals in the background there. So once again, we start off with organism, work all the way up to ecosystem as we're looking at that. And then lastly, all the ecosystems together, we consider that the biosphere. So far, we know of exactly one biosphere, and that's Earth. But all the areas on Earth that support life are the biosphere. And we will stop there for the day. Short and sweet.